Hello friends, and welcome to my as yet untitled channel. This is the first video I am publishing on this channel. I have been thinking about doing this YouTube channel for a while. I actually even filmed some videos a while back, started the whole channel, got it all ready to go, and then at the last minute I changed my mind and I took everything down and deleted it and decided not to do it. But it's about a year later, I think, and I've decided to give it another try. And what this channel is going to be is I'm going to do reviews of things that I experience. So real life things from a real person, just a regular normal person. I do not have a ton of money that I can be spending to go out and buy a bunch of products and try them out like some review channels might have. But I just want to share the things that I enjoy with other people who might have common interests and give you my genuine thoughts about the books I read, the movies I see, things like that. My name is Heather, and I'm going to start out this first video by reviewing the book that I just read last night, which is The Final Act by Lisa Gray. Before I get to the review of this book, some of the things that I'm planning on making videos about on this channel are reviews of the books that I actually read. Now, these are going to be the books that I normally would have chosen to read anyway. I'm not going to go out of my way to read books that are, super popular or on the bestseller list or anything like that. These are the books that I actually like, that I choose to read myself. I usually get most of my books from the public library. Once in a while, I do have to buy a book, and I'll explain why, because this is an example of that. I tend to read anywhere between 36 and 48 novels a year. So about 3 or 4 books a month. So that's about what you can expect to hear from me. One thing I have learned is that if you're not into a book, if you're not getting into it and you don't really like it and it's just not grabbing you and keeping your attention, you don't have to read the whole thing. You can stop. Don't force yourself to read things that you don't want to read. That's what school was for. So in your real life, just read the things you like to read. Don't let anybody tell you have to read this book, or oh my gosh, you must read this, or you have to read that, or you have to finish every book you start. That's not true. Read what you want to read what you enjoy. That's what I'm going to do, and then I'm going to share the books that I read with you on this channel. The other thing that I'm planning to review on this channel is movies. I am a huge movie fan. I love to go to the movies. I go to as many movies as I can. The recent years have been kind of a bummer for movies. First because of the pandemic, then because of the writer's strike and the actor's strike. And it's been kind of slow going with movies lately, and there hasn't been a ton. I remember back in the 90s and, in the 2000s, before 2020, we used to go to the movies all the time. I mean, there were often times where more movies out than I had time to go see. We would, in the summertime, go to a movie every single week. There haven't been as many movies recently as there used to be, but I will definitely review the movies that I do go see. The other things that I might potentially review on this channel that you should stay tuned for, please subscribe so that I can grow this channel as quickly as possible, are if I get any new products. I do anticipate actually getting some new products soon, because we actually have a few YouTube channels in our household, and for our YouTube channel, some of my original equipment that I used, including my original bigger tripod and my GoPro, both died. They both broke in the last year, so we have to replace those. But anything else that I get that's new and interesting, that I think that, a lot of people might use or might be interested in what it's like, if I get a new product that I was going to buy anyway, I will definitely review that for you. The other thing that I'm not sure if I'm going to do this, but I might review, is hotels or places I go, if it's like a new place or maybe an exhibit I go to or something. And then I definitely once in a while do go to live theater shows, so I will give you a review of those. If it's something that's going to have a decent run that people could potentially still go see it, I will give you reviews of live shows too. So those are the things that you can expect on this channel. And if that's something that you think is interesting, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe. And don't forget to give me a thumbs up on any video that you liked or thought was especially interesting or helpful. Okay, so let's talk about this book. So the reason I read this book is because I have read 3 previous novels by Lisa Gray. 4 previous novels by Lisa Gray. It's the Jessica Shaw series, thriller series. I've read all 4 of those. Now, I did just go on Goodreads. I do track my reading on Goodreads, by the way. That's a really good way to keep track of your reading. I know there's some people who don't like Goodreads that much, but I really have found Goodreads to be really great for me, and it works for what I want to do with it, and so I like using Goodreads. Goodreads is a website and also an app. There's these 2 standalone books, and I had heard of them, but I hadn't had them on my want to read list or anything. So I just went back on Goodreads right before I made this video and looked at these books again. I'm not interested in To Die For. That one has to do with realtors, and that does not interest me at all. But the other one, The Dark Room, sounds kind of cool, and so I did just add that to my want to read list on Goodreads. So I might read that one in the future. But I read all 4 of these. On Goodreads, you have 1 to 5 stars. I wish they would let us have half stars. Who else feels this way? I wish they would let us do half stars on Goodreads, because sometimes, it's not quite a 4, or it's, you want to be able to do a half star, but you can't. So I tend to round up. So if it was like 3.5, I'll give it a 4, just because I know authors work really hard to write their books and publish them. So, okay, so Thin Air and Bad Memory, I gave both of those 4 stars. Dark Highway was my favorite. That one I gave 5 stars. And Lonely Hearts I only gave 3 stars because that one just didn't resonate with me as much or whatever. But I liked this whole series a lot. I don't know if she's going to do more books in that series, but I would highly recommend that if you like thrillers. They're all set in Los Angeles or the surrounding area, and it's a female detective. So if you like that kind of thing, you would probably like that series. Okay, this book, because I follow the author, I follow Lisa Gray because I've read those other books, is, as far as I know, a standalone, but it might be the beginning of a series. She definitely set the characters up in this book, the detectives, as the beginning of what could be a series, maybe. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. This book was published July 1st, 2024. I had it on my want to read list for a while because I follow the author, but it did not come out in my local library system. My local library is close to my house. I go there almost every day, honestly. Know the librarians very well. Always get stuff on the hold shelf, so I put things on hold for myself and I just go pick them up when they come in. We also have a whole library system, a public library system around where we live that our library is part of, and so we can get books from other libraries transferred really easily, and there's a whole bunch of libraries in that system. But our entire library system did not have this book at all. So I did have to buy this book. Now, the author, Lisa Gray, is actually Scottish, and I think that maybe because she's Scottish, I don't know this publisher. This publisher is Thomas and Mercer. It says they're out of Seattle. And then it also says it's Amazon. So I don't know if this was an Amazon published book. I'm not really sure. But it says it was printed in the United States. But she is Scottish. And I did live in both Ireland and England in the past. I lived in Ireland on a homestay and Irish studies program when I was in high school, and I lived in England for 1 semester, in London for a semester in college. So I'm a big Anglophile, okay? And I also have Irish and English heritage. So one thing I notice in this book, and actually in all of her books, is every once in a while, she does a very good job of sounding American. But every once in a while, she slips in a little slip of something that only a British person would say. And I catch it, like at the weekend or something like that. She'll slip in just some little expression in a sentence, and I notice it because I know how people from there speak, and it stands out to me. And there's a few of those in this book, and I just kind of get a little chuckle out of them. And it's something that I enjoy because I know a lot of people wouldn't even notice, or they would just think it sounds weird and why did she write it that way? But it's just a few of them scattered throughout here that I thought were kind of fun. Okay, but otherwise, this is a very good set in 2022, September 2022. Oh, weird thing about me you should know. I only like to read books when they are set in the season that I am currently in. Okay, so for example, it is currently September 2024, so I read this book that was set in September 2022. The last book I read, which I don't know what it was, I'd have to go back and look, was also set in September. So I like to read books that are set at the same time that I'm currently experiencing myself in life. Is anybody else like that? Let me know in the comments. It's set in September 2022, and it's a detective who just transferred. Her name is Sarah Delaney, and she just transferred from robbery homicide in the LAPD to the missing persons unit. And so this is the first case that she has of a missing person that she's tackling. I am not in my reviews going to give away, I am going to give you spoiler-free reviews, okay? I'm not going to give away much about the story, either in books or movies or plays. I will only give you like my general opinions about it and whether I thought it was good or not or enjoyable. So you don't ever have to worry about that in my reviews. I'm never going to give away a twist or a key plot element or anything like that. It goes back and forth between Sarah in September 2022, like this. And then it also throws in a few little extra things. So it does have a prologue, fall of 2001, so 21 years earlier. And then every once in a while, it throws in a news article, like this. There's some at the beginning, there's some in the middle, there's some at the end, okay? And the gist of the story is it's about this actor, Madison James, who came to LA to pursue a career in acting when she was very young, like almost a teenager, it sounds like. And it goes back and forth between her experiences in 2001 and like 2002. And then Madison James is investigating her disappearance in 2022 when she's actually 39 years old. I really liked it. It really held my attention. It kept me wanting to read more. I read it pretty quickly. I think I read this book in like just over a week. I only read, by the way, usually at bedtime, in bed at night. I don't really read during the day at all, unless like I have to get the book back to the library and I'm not finished with it yet, then I'll read it during the day. But normally I just read it in bed at night. It had good characters. It had good descriptions of the settings. She's a really good writer. There's a big difference between people who are good writers and who aren't good writers. And every once in a while you'll get a book, and I don't even know how those things get published, but you'll get a book where this person is just not a good writer. Good writing to me really flows. Like it should seem basically conversational, or you should be able to really picture it in your head or something. It should be easy. It shouldn't be a struggle to read something, I think. I mean, maybe if you're doing like serious academic research or something, then stuff you read might be difficult, but I feel like, you know, when you're reading a novel, especially like a thriller like this, you want it to be fairly quickly paced and smooth in the writing. And she definitely does that. She's a good writer in that way. So I liked this book a lot. I actually gave it 5 stars on Goodreads. Some people might argue with that. I even wrote that in my review on Goodreads, that some people may not think this is worthy of 5 stars because of a couple of the plot things. But I went ahead and gave it 5 stars because I found it highly enjoyable. I stayed fully engaged throughout the entire book. I thought the characters, the setting, the plot were good. And I actually even liked, and this might be something that some people might not like, but I actually did like, there are some tie-ins with more realistic recent events in Hollywood and the movie industry. So if you're at all interested in the movie business in Hollywood, you would really like Lisa Gray's books. You'd also really like the Eve Ronin series by Lee Childs is another really good one. And they kind of have a similar vibe. The books that I've read by Lisa Gray and that Eve Ronin series by Lee Childs that I've read have kind of a similar sense about them. So if you like him at all, and I'll probably be reviewing, I know I will. I have another book coming in to the library by him, a new one coming in his new series about fires in the Los Angeles area. It's the second book in that series. So that's one to watch for. Stay tuned to my channel if you want to see that review coming up. The next book I am going to be reading, I'll just give you a little teaser, is The Trap by Ava Glass. Ava Glass is not her real name. It's actually a pseudonym. That's more of a spy novel. So a little bit of suspension of disbelief possibly in that. And again, it's part of a series. This one I did like because it did end in a way that I thought was actually relatively realistic. It kind of wrapped it up fairly tidily and quickly at the end, but I thought it was actually reasonable. So I really enjoyed this book. I gave it 5 stars on Goodreads. Worth checking out if you like thrillers, if you like missing person stories, if you like stuff set in Los Angeles, detective stories, anything like that, I would recommend. Thanks so much everyone for joining me for this first video on my new channel. I really appreciate you being here, and be sure to give me a like if you enjoyed this video. I look forward to making more videos for you in the future, so stay tuned. Have a great day. Bye.